morning, sweet world, and welcome to the No Dunks podcast on the Athletic Network. I'm JD Skeets, along with our super producer, JD. We got a special guest today rolling through. His Twitter bio says he convinced 500,000 people that he was cool enough to watch. That's actually him being humble. He's an NBA 2K YouTube star. He's one of the hosts of the Through the Wire podcast on House of Highlights. He goes by King of the Fourth Quarter. It's Kenny Beecham. Kenny, what's up, man? Appreciate you jumping on today.
This is insane. I just got to get an intro from JD Skeets. It's crazy to even think about. Saying 750,000 doesn't have the same ring as 500,000 for the bio.
True.
So I'm just going to keep it at 500,000 to eventually, hopefully, I can get it to 1 million.
Nah, just round up already, man. Just say 1 million. No one's going to actually check. No one's going to care. Man, I'm so pumped to have you on. It's been something I wanted to do for a while now. We were talking a long time ago. There was talk of maybe getting you on a trivia podcast, which I think we have to do in the future because you know your stuff, man. I got to give it to you. I've been doing this for a long time. The guys I do the show with, they obviously know a ton about the NBA. But I've been watching your videos recently, listening to your podcast as well, and I'm like, damn, there are other people out there that know maybe just as much as we do about the NBA. You guys know your stuff. I tweeted out earlier this week just how impressed I was with your work ethic, your passion, your content. It is top-notch, my man.
Thank you.
I got so many questions I want to throw your way.
Okay.
Because I'm fascinated about how you go about creating your content, making a living out of it. And we will get to the Through the Wire podcast and other sports media opportunities opening up for you. But let's start with that, baby. Your NBA 2K YouTube channel. Kenny, right off the top, I'm not much of a gamer, okay? Especially anymore. I'm old. It's passed me by. So, can you explain to noobs like me? I obviously know what 2K is. I think I'm in the game, for crying out loud.
Yes, you are. Yes,
right.
you are.
I'm one of the annoying social media things that pops up. But can you explain the different factions within 2K? Because I know what you do is like My League, or you focus prominently on that, and then there's like, I guess there's My Team or My Career and part. You just explain that to me. Yeah.
I focus on My League, which the general concept is being the general manager of a team and trying to build a championship team. Okay. And eventually, I think you can go for as far as like 60 years before 2K decides, okay, this is enough for you. You can start over now. So that's what I focus on, because I feel that the overall idea of building a team is so intricate. And I just love the idea of just putting things together. And I have like this fan base that's just with me. And when I started making these videos, I had no idea that other people would like to make trades like I do and try to build the perfect type of lineups. And then I found out that there are also NBA players that love the My League. There are other GMs like Daryl Morey. Daryl Morey is a big fan of my videos, him and his kids. So he is making virtual teams while he's trying to also make the Houston Rockets a really good team. So that's where I usually make my videos. But there are different aspects like
so you're not playing really the game itself, right? You're doing simulations, like where you
I'm simulations. Okay. I'm building my entire, I usually keep it to like a 10-man rotation, and I simulate the 82 games and try to figure out how many wins we can get and then make the playoffs and try to win a championship just virtually, because my IRL basketball skills aren't that great. So I decided that I want to be a general manager virtually. But there are different aspects. So there's My Career, where you control yourself, you create yourself and try to make yourself the best in the world. And then you can also take that player and play online, which is the My Park. So My Park, you can squad up with 2 other people, or sometimes there's 1 other person, and play against other people around the world with your created player. Those games are fun. I'm just not that good at online gaming in general. So the fact that I'm a gamer and I'm making my job without actually having competition is crazy.
Yeah, that's the wildest part to me. So you're honestly not that good when it comes to actually playing 2K. You're being honest. Yeah, wow, that's amazing.
Not in 2K. I'm better at like the first-person shooter type games than I am at the actual 2K. I don't know. There are people that are really good at it. It's something about the dribble animations, and I just can't get into it. So I'm just gonna take a seat and do simulation and try to be Masai.
Oh, Masai Ujiri, yeah. Shout out to my president. That's my president right there. Do you follow the NBA 2K League then with these actual gamers that are playing the games, or is that something you're just not all that interested in?
I tried to the first season because I actually had a friend that was drafted to the Knicks, and they went on to win a championship. But after that first season, I kind of fell out because he retired from gaming completely, which is kind of weird to say. But since then, not too much. I'll try to come in every once in a while to talk into like they do Twitch. So there's a chat, and usually some of the people inside the chat know who I am because of my name. So I'll come in, talk to some people, watch a game or two, but I couldn't tell you who is the best team in the league right now and who's the worst, because I'm not that in tune with it.
Did you also just say the Knicks won a championship?
The Knicks won a virtual championship, yeah.
I thought this was supposed to be realistic. That's not realistic. Okay, so yeah, like you said, you're focusing on the My League, the simulation. Basically, yeah, like you said, being a GM. You do all these really cool and really creative challenges, I guess is the best way to call them, right? Like recently, I know you've done like a big 3 rebuilding challenge. So you got to have like really, guys over 90 in the game. You got to get 3 of them, like you were the Heatles with LeBron, Wade, and Bosh.
Exactly.
You've done like an alphabet rebuilding challenge.
There's so many challenges.
Yeah.
So
what's your favorite? What's your favorite?
So far, my favorite is I created myself and made myself like the star player of a franchise.
Okay.
And again, I'm not very good, so I try to make myself as realistic to myself as possible. So in real life, I'm 5'7", so my creative player was also 5'7". In real life, I can't hit a jump shot, so my 2K player couldn't hit a jump shot.
Okay.
So I did that and tried to build a championship, and honestly, I was the 5'7" point guard with 3 other stars where I averaged like 6 points per game, but it was Paul George doing all the scoring. It was Rudy Gobert protecting the paint, and that was like one of my favorite challenges. But I found out pretty early with doing these videos that if you don't do some type of challenge attached, then most people won't tune in. So just doing a normal Utah Jazz rebuild is going to attract Utah Jazz fans. But if I throw a little challenge into it, then it's more broader to just anybody.
Yeah. How do you come up with all these ideas? I assume a lot of your fans are throwing them out there in comments across social media, because you've done, I don't know, hundreds of these.
Hundreds of them, yeah. So I do have like a brainstorming period at the beginning of every week where I try to come up with my own challenges. And I am lucky enough that my fan base does give out different ideas. So I can just roam through my YouTube comment section or go to my Twitter mentions, and I have 5 or 6 suggestions, and I can try to pick which one that I believe is going to reach a big audience, because at the end of the day, that's pretty much what we do it for, trying to get our videos in front of more people.
What made you decide to launch a YouTube channel? And for somebody that's new to you, like how long have you been doing this for now? My
first YouTube video was 2011.
Okay.
So I've been doing it for almost a decade now. And I jumped into it basically as a hobby. Me and 2 other friends, we all got the equipment together. We're like, we're gonna build our version of a big 3. Like there were other YouTube creators out there that had like friends that they continued to make videos with. And after maybe a year, my other 2 friends dropped out, and they were like, it's just not for them. But I just continued to do it and continued to do it. And then I basically found out that I had a love for it, and it became a hobby, a passion, into now a job. Like it took maybe 6 years before I got my first paycheck.
Wow.
But when I got it, I was like, okay, now I can start to focus on this more. And eventually after that, it became my full-time job.
Like you said, you started in 2011. Sounded like you just did it for fun at first. And then you're like, oh, I really like this. When did it click that you were like, wow, I could maybe make this into a living? There's something here. You know what I mean?
So it was right after I graduated high school in 2015. And then that was, I was working, I don't know if you guys have them in Atlanta, but there's a store named Fruitful Yield. It's similar to like a vitamin shop.
Okay.
So I was working at the vitamin shop, and I got a paycheck from YouTube for about $400. And that was basically my same paycheck from my regular job. And I was like, okay, my dad won't like this, but I think I'm going to leave my job here to focus on YouTube. And I did that. And then my next paycheck was like $200. And I was like, uh-oh.
I made a mistake. Back to the vitamin shop.
Exactly. I made a mistake. But I'm lucky enough that my dad was like on my side the entire time. He had no idea what I was doing or what it was turning into. And then maybe 6 months down the line, I had a paycheck worth $800. Wow. And then it kept going up and up. And then by the time of 2017, I had enough money to move out and get my own place. And then it's just been continuing to grow since then.
Take us through your like production schedule then. I mean, you said at the beginning of the week, you sit down, okay, what could I maybe do this week? That sounds like very similar to what we do here at No Dunks. Have that little brainstorming session. All right, start, filling in the calendar. We'll do, one-on-one with Kenny. That'd be cool. We'll do a beach step and whatever. What's like a week like, I guess, but even more specifically like a day like for you, because you pump out the content, my man. Like I know how much work goes into this stuff. I assume a lot of people do watching your videos. Like, it's not just you talking. I mean, there's a lot of editing going along with the idea itself and executing it. So take me through sort of a day if you can.
So I start off on Mondays, and that's where I have this brainstorming session. I'll come down to my basement, which is like my work area, and I'll sit here with it used to be a journal, but now I'm just using like docs and typing in different ideas. And what I would do is take those ideas that I've come up with and send them to like my friends group chat. Like, hey, would you watch this video? If you know? And they'll say yes or no. And I'm lucky enough that my friends will be completely honest with me. Like, Kenny, that's a terrible idea. How about you scratch that one? And after Monday, I usually come up with 3-4 video ideas. And that's enough for me to go down to the basement and start recording. And I'll record an entire video. Each video usually takes like an hour, maybe 2 to actually record. And then I'm on to the editing session. And I used to hire editors. I did it for like a week, and I just hated not being in complete control.
Sure.
So it's like, I'm gonna do it myself. And then you're saving money too, because you don't have to pay anybody. So I'll record, I'll edit that video, and I get it up, spend some time with my girlfriend, because though I'm a busy guy, but I do have to save some time for the girlfriend or she'll get pretty upset. And then we're back to work. So it's no real like, hey, every day I work from 12 to 4. Sometimes I'm working from midnight to 2 and then come back in the morning to finish things up. And I have that luxury because I am basically working for myself at this point.
Did you teach yourself?
Yeah.
How to edit and all that? Yeah.
Everything I taught myself. Basically, you can find anything on YouTube, right?
Yep.
So I've switched through like 4 or 5 different editing programs before I found one that I really loved. And then I went through like, there's a YouTube channel that had like basically courses. Editing 101, 102, 103, and I watched the entire series, and then that's how I got to the point I am. And I wouldn't even say I'm really a good editor. I think I'm just serviceable. I know the guy that I hired for that 1 week, he was insane. And if it wasn't for me just not liking the idea of not being in complete control, he would still be working for me right now.
So he was talented.
He was very talented.
You just wanted to have your fingerprints all over it. Yeah. I get that. Have you ever started a video then, an idea, and be like halfway through, like, this sucks. This is
all the
not...
time. That's like the saying that I'm my own biggest critic. I feel like a lot of people have that mindset, and it's completely true. So what I did to stop that is that if I feel halfway through that this is not going to be a good video, I'll try to power through it. I'll edit it and send it to the group chat. Hey, is this a bad video or am I tripping? And a lot of times they'll be like, no, that's actually a pretty good video, so just publish it. But there have been times where like your energy's off, or yeah, that's just the way it is. And again, my friends are like ridiculously honest with me, and that's exactly what I need.
That's good. And I'm sure though, even all that said, trying to like go through that process of having your friends almost check it first before you post it, I bet, tell me if I'm wrong, there's times where you're like, all right, this one's not my best work. Let's throw it up and see what happens. And maybe those are the ones that obviously blow up for some reason or get more views. Does that happen? Yeah.
Viewed video. It has like 2 million views. It was just something very random. I took a quiz, right? I took a quiz where there was 2 NBA logos. One was slightly off and one was the right one.
I've watched this one. I've seen this one.
Okay, so yeah, I did that in my parents' house, and I had no idea that it was gonna do the numbers that it did. But at this time, there was no like quiz community on YouTube. So once I made that video, and I think I did pretty bad on it. It was just like very subtle differences between the logos. It was hard to tell.
Yeah, we're talking like little color changes within the Knicks logo. Like, oh, there's a little orange there, and then there isn't on this one. Which one's the right one? Yeah.
Exactly. So I put that video up, and I think I went to sleep or I went to work, and that was like, at that time, it was my most viewed video. I was like, whoa. And then it continued to hit the YouTube recommendation. Then it hit a YouTube trending page, and now it's sitting at 2 million views. But that was not a video that I thought in my mind was going to do anything.
Right.
I also have videos I'm like, okay, this is the one that will go viral. And it tanks, and it's just like, it's so heartbreaking.
That's the internet for you right there, in a nutshell. Yeah, you do. I'm glad you brought that up, the trivia one, because you do, I noticed, a lot more than just the 2K videos. Mm-hmm. These trivia videos, you do like the $15 you have to draft a team type videos and reaction videos. It feels like you're doing a lot more recently, like to clips and maybe articles. Was that something you started from the jump, or was that something you like started to fold in to the rest of the 2K videos? You know what I mean?
So yeah, I didn't start that from the jump at all. One thing that my dad has always taught me is like, you want to try to diversify your income. And I guess that's what I'm doing, because I know that there's a larger market out there of NBA fans that don't watch 2K videos. So in that case, okay, let me react to this article, or let me just sit down and talk about who I think the top 10 players in the NBA are right now. So I'm just trying to grow my name and my brand outside of the gaming world. And yeah, that's where it just recently started, maybe a year or two ago, because until then I was just, hey, I'm a gamer. But now it's like, I want to be so much more than that.
Why do you think your videos resonate so much with fans? Like, if you had to pick one or two things?
I think a lot of people, and this is what the general manager over at House of Highlights has said to me, a lot of people see part of themselves in me, whether it's because I'm also pretty young, or it's just the smile. I literally don't know.
Well, I think it's because your enthusiasm. I really do. And like I said, watching your videos, I know what's going on because you're explaining it, and I know 2K. I'm not an idiot, but I'm like, I don't really have that much fascination into this, but it's like, I can't stop watching them because your enthusiasm does come across the screen. That's, I think, the number one thing.
Thank
and like
you.
a part of that is like, you're sort of, and we've always gotten this compliment over the long time now too, is like, you're just being yourself. You're being real. You're not putting on an act. Even just now, this is the first time I've ever talked to you in person.
Yeah.
You're basically exactly the same as you are in the video, and that does come through, I think, to people. So that would be my reasoning why you do these crazy numbers. That
is very important to me too, because there are people in like the community that do have characters, right, with their videos, and there's nothing wrong with that, because people want to see those characters. But I've always wanted to be as true to myself as possible, and that is something that people say when they meet me in public, like, "Hey, this is the Kenny that I saw in the video." Right. It's like, I just try to be myself in those videos, and it's been working out pretty well. It's
working for sure. You said you're essentially playing GM in a lot of these videos, especially the My League stuff. You know, I think there was one I saw, you were, I think it's a little tongue-in-cheek, but you were saying, "Hey, Pistons, this is why you should hire me for GM.
Yeah.
Let me rebuild your franchise. Let me blow it up and start it over, and here's will be my resume," so to speak. Do you have any desire, in all honesty, to follow that path in real life? Any sort of getting into basketball management, or no?
No, not really. It was more like, there's like memes that are attached to my channel, and that was one of them. I did a similar thing when the Bulls were looking for a new general manager, so I am a diehard Bulls fan. So whenever there's like a GM opportunity, I just see it as a good time to like make a video that'll get good numbers. But mostly I want to be in sports media more than anything. Okay. The idea of being a general manager, I just feel like there's just so much that goes into it that I could not keep up with it.
Yeah, I don't even know where you start with that, that type of job. I mean, I'm sure there's classes you'd want to take. You'd obviously you'd have to start at the bottom, I'm sure, within a franchise and stuff like that. But I was just curious because, I mean, you obviously, I thought that was the answer. I mean, like, oh, what an opportunity to make this video. But you never know. It might be something. You're young enough. Why couldn't you be Masai Ujiri in 20 years from now?
Exactly. But no, it's something about the media side that I love so much more than the actual idea of trying to build a team.
You talked about your production sort of schedule, what a day's like. Did you have a goal early on, and even to this day, of like a video a day or whatever it is? Like, you know, like at the beginning of that week, you're like, I want to have X amount of things up. Or is it just sort of flying by the seat of your pants a little bit? Is there like structure to that level? You know what I mean?
Sometimes there is structure. Sometimes there isn't. I feel like the days or the weeks where I don't put a goal on myself, I'm usually the most productive, because somehow I get in my head like, oh, I wanted 5 videos, but somehow I've only got 3 done. I failed this week. So instead, I'm just like, okay, can I get something done today? If I can, then let's do it. If I can't, then no harm done.
Right. What's your favorite part about creating these 2K videos, or any of your videos for that matter?
It's the flexibility mostly. I just love being able to decide when I do upload and when I don't upload. It's really just the freedom of it.
Are you like one of these guys that's like making these videos at like 3 a.m? Like, are you
100%?
Are you?
100%. I feel like I am my best version of myself when I need sleep. I don't know if that's because it's just like
just a little loose,
a little loopy. Yeah, it's just something about it. I love recording around those times of the day, but it doesn't always work that way. You know, sometimes I do want to. Well, most of the times I do want to go to bed with my girlfriend. You know, so we can get to bed together. But just something about the 3 a.m., 2 a.m. time. It's just like it's still myself, but it's just maybe a little bit more loopier version of myself. And then those are the times where like people clip parts of my videos and tweet them out, and I'm like, did I really say that?
Yeah. That's when the memes are created.
Exactly,
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. What's your least favorite part of your job, which this is your job? What's something where just like at times you're like, oh, this is a little taxing? Because as much as we all love our jobs, and you and I have pretty incredible jobs, there are parts that you don't like about it sometimes. What would you pick?
100% is like the brainstorm and idea part, because there are times where there's not much for me to create, especially like this time of the year, because we are getting to the point where the next version of 2K is going to come out. So like all of the challenges or the ideas that I have are like run low. And I mean, again, I'm lucky that like my fans can send me ideas, but sometimes it's just hard to say like, hey, if I want to do this much, this many videos a week, it's hard to sometimes come up with that. Yeah. And then I've had times I'm like, I'm just going to take a week off, just refresh.
Yeah, you have to. Yeah. In anything creative, I think you have to do that. And this has been a weird season probably for you as well with the NBA season, and we'll get to your Through the Wire podcast, but it's like we've had no time off. I mean, you're still creating podcasts through the wire, I know, as are we with No Dunks. It's really weird. What's the best random generated name you've ever come across in 2K?
Oh man, JD's probably not gonna like this. You may have to bleep it.
Go ahead.
But there was a player named Dick Rose.
I think we can let that one slide. Okay. Dick Rose, all right, brother of Derek, I guess.
Exactly. So I traded for him, and it was like a package deal. I traded 2 players for 2 players, and I think the main person I was trading for was someone along the lines of Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Okay. And this guy, Dick Rose, was just a part of it. And I just saw D Rose. Sometimes 2K has it where you can't see the picture that's generated with the player. Okay. So in my mind, I just picked up Derrick Rose. He's my favorite player of all time. So I got Gilgeous-Alexander and Derrick Rose. But instead, I look at my roster. There's a point guard named Dick Rose. And I'm like, well, this is not what I expected. And then that itself became a huge meme on my channel where like people made Twitter accounts dedicated to this
Dick Rose
guy, Dick Rose. Yeah.
I saw a recent video too. I don't know if it was recent. I can't keep track of all your videos, but instead of Reggie Miller, it was like Riggy Miller?
Riggy Miller.
Was that just an error in the game, or was there another guy?
Yeah, so like on 2K, you can download rosters that other people have created.
Okay.
And Reggie Miller is not a guy that has signed on his rights to 2K. So he hasn't been in the game of 2K since the early 2000s. So you can download a roster. If you want the all-time greatest Pacer lineup, you need Reggie Miller. So some guy created his version of Reggie Miller, but spelled it Riggy.
Gotcha.
And then that also became a huge meme of the channel.
That's very funny. Yeah. It feels like, and correct me if I'm wrong, yourself and the NBA 2K community have like a love-hate relationship.
Oh, yes.
With the game. Yeah, why is that? Like you guys obviously love it. You're playing it all the time. You're doing what you do. But there does seem to be like this, like, fix this, change this. Why don't you guys listen to us? Is that fair?
It's very fair. And the reason is that they have cornered the market, right? This is the only NBA-related basketball game there is. They had a little bit of competition with NBA Live, but eventually NBA Live decided to stop making what we call simulation version of basketball and start making more like NBA Street type games where it's just like super fun or NBA Jam type games. And 2K is the only simulation version. So they could basically put out any type of product, and us NBA fans that love playing video games are going to buy that version because it's the only version of basketball we really have. And because of that, we feel like us as creators and the people that are also in the community, we feel like there's a lot of things that could be better about the game that maybe the company isn't really taking care of.
Do you think they're receptive to complaints or suggestions? Or they're like, or are they just like, guys, you're gonna buy the game, just relax?
That's the way we feel. We feel like they just they don't really love the criticism. Like I don't know, I want to say community manager's name is Ronnie 2K. And you've seen him in like the All-Star games and things like that. He has a way of like, he also live streams, and people go into his live stream to talk about, hey, this creator said this about the game, and he'll somehow insult the creator that says something about the game instead of trying to really change what the things that are wrong with the game. But ultimately, I can say the game of 2K is fun. I love it. It just could be a lot better. It's just the point that a lot of us creators are trying to say.
Yeah, there's one video in particular that I watched where you were like giving suggestions, things you would change, things that could be better in terms of the simulation and stuff like that. I actually laughed out loud because I had no idea. No one let me know about this, by the way, so I'm going to be a little upset with all the listeners that also watch you. But you were like, we got this social media part of the game. I like J.E. Skeets, but I don't need to know what virtual J.E. Skeets thinks of my team.
Yeah,
I laughed out loud.
Like it'll be tweets like, let's say Jimmy Butler had 25. It'll be J.E. Skeets. Jimmy Butler was on fire last night, and it's cool.
So
but
insightful.
It's cool, but it's just like nobody really goes over to the social media tab to read what you and Tass is in there as well.
Yeah. I think all the guys. I think Trey is for sure. I don't know about Lily, but he might be. Yeah.
Yeah, he might be as well. So it's actually cool to see that, but it's just not something that a lot of us really pay attention to.
No, see, you're right. It's cool the first time, maybe even that's an embellishment. But it's like the first time, oh, that's cool. And then you do not care ever again to see a fake tweet from a virtual me talking about a virtual team.
If it was more insightful, then I wouldn't mind seeing social media.
So you're putting it on me and you're saying my virtual reporter sucks.
It's just with his Magic Johnson type tweets. It's just, no.
I'll have to write my own. I'll have to write my own tweets, send them to Roddy 2K. Hey, start putting this in the game. This is what I would say.
Yeah, exactly.
Start dropping F-bombs and people will get excited. Oh my God. You said you play, or you did. Do you play other games?
Yeah, so right now I'm big into the Call of Duty Warzone just because that's like the number one thing. I find myself playing like MLB The Show a lot, even though I'm not a big baseball fan. It's just something about the game that's pretty fun. But those are pretty much it. I feel like most of the time I'm online, I'm mostly just talking to my friends and what we consider like the Xbox party more than actually gaming.
Do you like Twitch this stuff when you play those games, or are you just not into it? I used
to, but then Twitch told me that they weren't going to partner me, and that kind of turned me off to the entire platform, honestly. Yeah.
Wow. And what does that mean for someone that really has no clue?
So there's two different versions of, I guess three. It's just like a normal streamer. There's an affiliate, and then there's a partner. The partner, you get like the check mark, and then the reason I wanted to be a partner is not for the lousy check mark, but mostly because you can have up to, I think, 30 emotes. So like right now on my Twitch channel, there's like 4 emotes where it's like, hey, if someone subscribes to the channel, you put this in chat. But basically what I wanted to do was have these 30 different emotes that are very where you can use across the Twitch platform that most people know that you're coming from my channel.
Gotcha.
Right. And I had so many ideas, but Twitch told me no. And you know what? I'm not mad at Twitch. It's just like it's a grind to become a partner more than anything.
Gotcha.
And maybe I'm kind of spoiled that like every other platform, like I was TikTok verified without even posting a TikTok, so maybe I'm spoiled by that. But Twitch is like, no, you have to put a little bit more time into our platform.
You're like, but I'm Kenny Beecham. I'm king of the fourth quarter. God damn it. Partner me. All right, well, that's their loss, it sounds like. Their loss. Yeah. You said you game with your buddies. Mm-hmm. Does that include the Through the Wire guys? Are these guys gamers as well? They are. You guys are playing online.
Yeah, we all are. So that's kind of where our friendship grew. Okay. So we met each other high school freshman year. We played on the same basketball team. But after the basketball season was over, we didn't really stay in connections with each other until we found out that we all had an Xbox. And then we started playing some games together. Then now we get to the point where like I'll wake up in the morning if I don't have any work to do, then I'll hop on Xbox and hey, my friend Mike is there, Pierre is there, and then we'll all just sit there. Even if we're not actually playing games, it's kind of just like talking to your friends.
Right.
So our entire relationship, it's like we give thanks to Xbox for it, honestly.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, your relationship, and then maybe even now into your careers with that.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
You guys getting paid from House of Highlights. Who's the best gamer of the bunch?
It's definitely me.
Okay.
I'm just saying, if we looked at statistics from all the games we played, I would have the best statistics in every one of them. Every one of them.
Who's the worst then?
I would say Derek is the worst, mostly because he's the one that probably plays the least.
Okay, well.
It's just... It takes a lot of time to be okay at some of the games. And again, I'm not good at the game. So that tells you that they're even worse. So it's just, I'll probably just have the most time played in comparison to all of them.
How long have you guys been doing the Through the Wire podcast now? It's been a minute.
This is our third season. This is our third NBA season covering. It started off where we had a group chat again where we just debate basketball. And one thing that we found out is that me and Pierre, who's actually my cousin, we disagree on so many things. Right. And I had already had this platform for YouTube. I think at this time I had like 200,000 subscribers. And I just hit the group chat like, hey, do you guys want to record a podcast? And they said, yeah. So literally that day I went out to buy all the microphone equipment. I bought the mixers. I bought everything necessary for us to actually start the podcast, because once I had a yes, I wanted to make sure that nobody decided to change their mind. Right. And when they saw me buy the equipment, they knew it was time to get to work.
And that then snowballed into you getting, basically picked up by House of Highlights to do their official podcast. You guys do a video version as well. You post that. You've obviously, I assume, liked that experience. It's going well.
Been amazing.
Yeah. Do you have help with that then, Kenny, or is that like, are you the JD of that podcast?
I am the JD of the podcast.
So you guys don't have another producer at House of Highlights?
No.
Wow, that's amazing.
They offered it to us. We kind of decided to turn it down. I don't remember why we decided to. It was like very early in the stages with House of Highlights, but somehow we decided that, hey, Kenny could just do it all himself. And maybe it's better for House of Highlights. They don't have to have another guy onto the team. But it's the House of Highlights connection has been more than I could have asked for. The team that they built over there is better than any team I've ever seen. We have a diverse group, and everybody just plays their role perfectly. And I give a lot of credit to Doug, the general manager. He found us on the ground floor with our podcast. And the story goes, he emailed me like, hey, Kenny, like your channel, love your podcast, from GM of House of Highlights. I'm like, oh, okay. Wow. That's cool, but like it left the door open to so many questions. Are they listening to the podcast in the offices, or is he just a personal fan? Right. So I just replied back like, thank you very much. I love House of Highlights, because everyone loves House of Highlights. It's like one of the best accounts in the world. And then a few months go past, and I'm listening to JJ Redick's podcast. JJ Redick had a podcast where he had Omar Raja, who is the founder of House of Highlights, on it. And in that podcast, Omar mentioned that they're about to branch off into the YouTube world, because at this point, they were just an Instagram account. So I'm like, okay, I have this YouTube channel. I've already been in contact with the general manager of the company. So then I sat down with my guys. I'm like, okay, we need to formulate this email to let them know that we want to be a part of this YouTube team. Whatever they decide to do with YouTube, we can do that. So we formulate this whole email, because at this point we were just an audio podcast. We didn't have the visuals. So in the email, I tell Doug like, hey, I just bought the camera equipment. We're about to go full video. I have experience with making YouTube videos. Here's my resume, as you already saw. If you're a fan of the channel, we would love to work together. And then we got an email back maybe a week later. He's like, let's hop on a call. And it was, wow. That was it.
Wow. That's pretty amazing. So now 3 years in then with House of Highlights.
Yes. Yeah. With the 2 years with House of Highlights. Yeah.
Right. And the video portion, that's when that kicked off. Because you said, I do this. You're going into YouTube, or you want to expand into it. We could be like sort of the official podcast, right?
Exactly.
Of the thing. That's incredible. So do the other guys, Pierre, Mike, Derek, is that their job? Are they 24/7 podcaster with House of Highlights, or maybe they do other things? I don't know.
They're 24/7 podcasters. Derek has he does so many different jobs. He did DoorDash, Uber. He's just a guy that needs to stay busy, which is really cool. So he just had a bunch of different jobs, but the rest are just podcasters. We have our brainstorm sessions for each episode. We record each episode, and that's it.
Tell me this then. I know you're friends. I'm friends with the guys I do the show with, but it doesn't matter if you're friends, and maybe even it's heightened when you're friends. In a creative element, in a creative setting, making a podcast, that's what that is. I mean, are there beefs of what we should talk about, how we should go about it, that must happen, right?
Yeah, 100%. It's just when you have so many different personalities trying to have one end goal, it's going to happen. We butt heads all the time on the route that we want to have for each episode. But we usually, since there's 4 of us, we just somehow find a way to find a middle ground to whatever topic, or if this is what we're covering, this isn't newsworthy, but those are just the overall things that, like you said, you go through as well. But we just always find a way to make it work, And even sometimes those heated conversations transfer over to the podcast. And I think those are the ones that the fans love the most, when we're actually like in heated debate.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
I mean, again, speaking from experience, people love going, do Lee and Tass hate each other? No, they don't hate each other. Oh, they were really going at it about Ben Simmons or whoever,
Yeah.
you know? And you're like, yeah, they were arguing about, their opinions on the team or a player. And it's like, you're right. People love that stuff. I mean, again, that's just like, that's what everybody does with their buddies anyway.
Exactly.
In talking hoops, people they're opinionated. They're fired up. How dare you say this? Let me tell you why you're wrong, blah, blah, blah. So
yeah.
That's good to know. I mean, I think it's interesting to me because like you go from doing everything by yourself, a creative thing with your YouTube videos, like, and you do it all. And then now you have all these other people, of course, that have their own opinions on how to go about it.
It was a big transition because I was so used to being like the guy that made the decisions with my own thing. So it was definitely a big transition to get to the point where I was able to allow my co-hosts and even like some of the producers of House of Highlights to have a say in what we do. But at the end of the day, I don't know everything, and everybody has their own bit of knowledge that can be more useful to whatever we're doing.
Last couple of weekends, All-Star weekends, I should say, you guys have taken the show basically on the road, although the last one in Chicago, you didn't have to travel far for that one. But talk about those experiences and just how exciting I'm sure that was for you guys. I know when we started doing that, you're actually taking the show on the road, and there are people who come to see you and want to take photos. Is that something you guys want to continue to do? And how fun?
Oh yeah, the first one was so scary. I was so nervous to perform, I guess is the word, in front of a crowd. And that was Charlotte, so last All-Star. And I'm sure you guys were there as well. It was like rainy the entire weekend, and we at Bleach Report, we had like this tent. And the tent was like, they had a basketball court, they had gaming situations, and then we had our little corner, where we were performing and we had a crowd, but it was raining and the doors had to stay open for like fire hazard purposes. And it was like 40 degrees. So we were like freezing. I was holding the microphone, and you would think that I was like nervous, but at this point I'm just so cold. And so we had to put together a show there. I mean, I think we did a pretty good job. The fans really loved it. We gave out like free clothing and free jerseys and stuff. So that was our first All-Star appearance. And this year it just got ramped up to a whole nother level because this was our home, and at this point, we were like the focal point of the entire House of Highlights like brand at this moment. So they rented out this entire thing where it wasn't just basketball courts here and other reasons to be there. Everybody that was there were for us. So we packed out the house. It was so fun. We had Kobe White on the show, which is one of my favorite Bulls, and we were supposed to have a few WNBA players, but something came up in their schedule. But the entire experience of being live, I think it's something that's incredible. It's something that's incredible because this year we had like the Twitter show, and it was broadcast across the world, and never did I even recognize the crowd while we were up there. I was just so in tune with my co-hosts and the ideas that we were flowing out there, and that's when I was like, this is exactly what I want to do for my entire life.
Yeah, you get that itch, man. It's exciting for sure. Live anything is very exciting. It's nerve-wracking too, but it's like a good feeling, I think. And then when it's all done and you got through it, you're like, oh my God, that was awesome.
Exactly.
So what do you want? You want to do more of that then? I mean,
100%.
What does Kenny want to do like in terms of sports media?
So we planned on going on tour this season, but everything got shut down like right before we were 4 hours away from our flight to Philly for our first official live show.
Are you serious?
We got a call from our producers like, you know what? They shut down travel. We cannot go anywhere. So like COVID-19, we were this close to being on a flight during the beginning of the COVID-19 thing. But
hold on, were you just going to go to Philly and then back, or were you going to do like a tour?
We were gonna go Philly, New York, and then home. And then we also had places like Houston 2 weeks later, and then here and there. So we were really getting started for our tour, and that got shut down. But that is what I want to do. Like, I don't know, maybe you can say something about this. I don't know where the future of sports media is going with like the internet. I don't know if it is TV still, like where you want to be or anywhere else, but whatever, like the prime location for an audience of sports media, that I want to be right at the front of that.
Nice. Well, you guys are well on your way. What about interviewing players and stuff like that? I mean, you said Kobe White. I know you've talked to Trae Young before. It feels like you have an interest in wanting to do more of that too. Is that correct?
Yes. So the beginning of January, so to the year of 2020, I was promoted to the face of the House of Highlights brand, which is pretty cool to say.
Damn.
So there are a few shows that I took over, and one of them was called The Real, where maybe you've seen Omar. He was sitting down with different NBA players and reacting to their highlights.
Right.
So I am now the host of that. And again, we had so many scheduled for the summer. I was supposed to be here, there. I've already, Miles Turner was the first player I had. He was really nice. And
he's great.
He opened the door for me. I was so nervous for that one. And him just being such a nice person kind of let me in like, hey, these are just normal people as well. So I did that one. Trae Young was really cool as well. And then I did Pat Connaughton. And one of the more recent ones that hasn't been released yet, I had Ja Morant via Zoom. And that was cool. But I could have had Ja Morant in Memphis. I wanted to go to Memphis so bad. But those are the type of things that we've been doing. And it's been super fun. There's a couple other shows in the work that I don't think I can say yet.
Okay.
But hopefully when all of this is over and we can get back to travel, those can become a reality.
All right. So yeah, when hopefully, knock on wood, things are back to normal, you guys through the wire live shows, like you said, or like you had planned, and more interviews and stuff like that, and more shows, it sounds like, in the works. That's awesome. Well, let's just talk quickly about this bubble. I guess on a scale of 1 to 10, I asked Big Waz this the other day. How confident are you about the NBA successfully pulling this off, this NBA restart in Disney World, that we crown a champion in the end?
I think I am as confident as it gets. I don't know if it'll be like the traditional championship because we can get halfway through with the playoffs and someone big goes down with, God forbid, COVID-19 or anything. Yeah. But I do believe that 100% the NBA is going to crown a champion because they kind of, at this point, they've put so much into it. I feel like something dramatic would have to happen for them to shut it down. And them doing the testing last week, I think it was 2 out of the 322 players testing positive. I think that is a pretty decent sign going forward. That only 2 players came down with it. But the idea of having the employees go in and out of the bubble is kind of the only thing that makes me a bit iffy. But I still believe that we will crown a champion.
Okay. Which player or team, or both if you want, do you think is under the most pressure in the restart? If you had to pick.
NBA Twitter makes me want to say the Bucks. Just because the idea of losing Giannis. But I see Giannis as like a lifer. Just everything about his personality, his upbringing tells me that like he's gonna stay with the Bucks forever. Yeah. So NBA Twitter wants me to say the Bucks, but I think there is a little bit more pressure for like the Houston Rockets probably more than anything. Right. Because their window is slowly closing. And though Russ, the second half of the season, was looking amazing, I think we can all agree that like a player like him could fall off a cliff just because he relies so much on his athleticism to be a successful player. So I think those are the teams that I think are under the most pressure. I would love to see like a situation where the OKC Thunder somehow become great and they have a crazy
you love Chris
run.
Paul, right?
Chris Paul is one of your favorite
guy. Players?
Chris Paul is I love Chris Paul. I just put up in my workroom Chris Paul signed jersey. Chris Paul is my favorite player other than Derrick Rose of all time.
Right. Wow, you love for the point guard position, obviously.
It's something about the smaller guys that I just really love.
Do you think, are you worried that he's going to be abusing the snitch hotline, though, Chris Paul? You seen the meme?
Oh, of course. I mean, hey, I'm looking forward to that. You know, if I want to see them be successful, I need Chris Paul to get on the hotline, and I need him to tell everything that he sees.
There's literally no team left because Chris Paul just snitches out everyone. Thunder win the championship. You're happy by the sounds of it. Okay, so you're confident this goes off without a hitch. I'm with you there. I do think the NBA have taken all the measures they possibly can to try and make this as safe as possible. Now it really is on the players, so to speak, to like follow the rules.
Exactly.
Right? And we're joking about the hotline and snitch hotline and all that, but like, if they want to pull this off, they almost have to like, I hate to say it, but like call each other out. If people are not taking it seriously and you are not following the rules, then you sort of should be penalized.
Exactly.
You would hope people aren't making things up and stuff like that. And I think these guys wouldn't do that. But yeah, it's a crazy situation. I won't keep you much longer here. You said you hoop a little bit.
A little bit.
So I think I read somewhere. Do you have like some basketball DNA in your family? Was your uncle or something like that a college player?
My uncle played at Hawaii.
Okay.
So that's the most basketball we have. And right now he's training my younger cousin, who I think he's going to be really, really good. I think he's 12 years old right now, and every time I see him, he's got a basketball in his hand, and I think he's going to be really good. But that's as far as it goes. But my uncle is the reason I am into basketball. We would have like these summers where he has 4 boys, and then I would be the 5th boy as the only other boy in the family. Exactly. We would run up to the park every summer. We'd spend the nights at his house, and the days we're at the park, then we'll go home, eat, and get ready for the next day. So he's the guy that ingrained the love of basketball into us.
Well, that's cool. Well, we got to at some point set up a 4-on-4 game. I think that has to happen. Through the wire versus no dunks, because here's how I'm looking at it.
Love that.
I'm guarding you for sure. All right. I feel like you're the quickest. You're the point guard of the team there. We got a battle of the bigs in Derek versus Trey. Those are the big guys on the squads. Who is more of a sharpshooter between Mike and Pierre?
Mike is definitely the sharpshooter of the group.
Okay. So Mike's going to match up with Lee. He's our 3-point specialist. And then Pierre and Tass. Does Pierre have like a sort of a gritty game to him? Is he going to do the small things, or
Pierre's a finesse player more than anything. He is a pretty boy on the court. He wants to make the flashy pass. He wants to do the finger roll instead of just getting the easy layup. That's the player that he is. But I can say he's the best player of the group, though, even all of that considered. So.
Oh, okay. I like that. Tass is a good defensive player, so that might be a nice matchup.
Remind me, how tall is Trey again?
Trey's 6'5".
6'5". Okay, Derek is 6'4". So, that's a good matchup. That's a good matchup right there.
Yeah, Trey's a big guy. I didn't know Derek was that tall either. All right, this is perfect. We'll make this happen. You know what? Get rid of the celebrity all-star game. Give the people what they want. Through the wire versus no dunks.
Exactly.
4-on-4. It'd be awesome. Well, look, I'm going to let you go. You're a busy man. I want to wish you continued success. It's been a real treat. Thank you so much for coming on, Kenny. Appreciate it, man. Tell the people where to follow your work.
Yeah, firstly, I just want to say thank you to you and the entire crew. You guys have been a big inspiration for me throughout the times, especially with you guys using your voice for all the things they're important in the world. I appreciate that. And also with this quarantine, the fact that you guys have been able to put together not just content, but quality content throughout this entire time without actually having basketball is admirable. So thank you for that.
Well, thank you. You're our 250th podcast of the season.
That is crazy.
Which sounds insane to say out loud. Yeah. And then we're gonna eclipse 300 for this season, no problem. But I appreciate the kind words. Thank you so much. But where can people follow your work?
Sure, yeah. At Twitter, I'm at KOT4Q. You can type that exact thing onto YouTube, and you'll see all of my channels. I would recommend going to the YouTube channel and seeing if you enjoy the content. If so, hit the subscribe button.
There it is. Yeah, hit the subscribe button. I heard you the other day saying, a lot of you are watching this. Why aren't you subscribing?
Yeah.
That obviously helps you out in terms, I'm sure, of numbers and getting paid and stuff.
Numbers like and brand deals, different things like that. I mean, at the end of the day, it's the views matter way more than the sub count. But it's just cool to have a higher number. We want to hit 1 million. If you subscribe, we can hit 1 million.
Yeah, so he doesn't have to round up 250.
Exactly.
Hit the subscribe button. King of the fourth quarter. Kenny, thanks so much, man. Appreciate you. Take care.
Thank you.
Embrace the day, people.